Just like in modern-day life, pets were an integral part of daily life and culture in Viking society. While Vikings are often associated with their prowess in battle and seafaring adventures, they also had a deep connection with animals, using them for practical purposes, companionship, and as symbols of status and prosperity. They were valued members of Viking households and contributed to the overall fabric of Viking life and culture. There has been found horses buried in Viking graves, but also cats and dogs that were to accompany their Viking owner in the afterlife. Creatures like wolves and ravens were associated with death and battle, reflecting the harsh and unpredictable aspects of Viking life. Animals played a role in Norse rituals and religious ceremonies. Sacrifices of animals were common offerings to the gods, believed to establish or maintain a connection between humans and the divine. Animals are featured prominently in Norse folklore and legends. Stories like the tale of
Fenrir,
the wolf, the shape-shifting abilities of
Loki,
and the magical horses of the gods enriched Viking narratives with vivid imagery and symbolism. The presence of pets also humanizes the image of the Vikings, showing their capacity for affection and companionship beyond their warrior personas. Let's take a closer look at Viking pets and animals, what the purpose was, status, and their spiritual role in Viking society.
Þetta Víkingasagan með Magnúsi.
But before we begin, remember to smash that subscribe button like a Viking berserker for more history about the Vikings. Animals in Norse mythology were often symbolic of cosmic forces or natural elements. For instance, the world serpent
Jörmungandr
represented chaos and the primordial forces of nature, while the eagle symbolized wisdom and the upper realms. But let's begin with the iconic Viking longships and the cats that were highly valued for controlling the ship's rodent population during long sea voyages. These sleek hunters prowled the decks, ensuring the food supplies remained safe from mice and rats that had sneaked on board the ship. Cats also had a spiritual connection in the Viking world, and
Freyja,
the goddess of love and fertility, was connected with cats, which symbolized her independence, grace, and cunning. Cats were considered sacred to her, and she is often depicted with her chariot drawn by two large cats. The Vikings therefore considered cats to be lucky animals. And just like today, cats were much appreciated pets, giving the Vikings a good friend and companion during long and dark winter days. In fact, modern research has shown that cats can provide emotional support, improve moods, and contribute to the overall morale of their owners, which also, of course, applied to the Vikings. Dogs were one of the most common and cherished pets among the Vikings. They served as hunting companions, guard animals, and loyal friends, and dogs were often depicted in Norse mythology and were believed to have protective qualities. They would raise the alarm to their owners if there were danger close by, and would help protect them from thieves and dangerous animals. The dogs would also be used to hunt in such breeds as the Icelandic sheepdog and Norwegian elkhound, and buhund are believed to have descended from Viking-era dogs, and as the names indicate, you can guess what they were used for. Odin, the most important god, had two ravens named
Hugin,
Thought and
Munin,
in memory, who flew around the world and brought him information. Hugin and Munin was in this way, Odin's worldwide web. Ravens were therefore considered symbols of knowledge and intelligence. When sailing in unfamiliar territories, the Vikings would release a raven from the ship and see what direction it would fly in. If the raven returned to the ship, they were far away from land, but if the raven didn't return, they would know what direction land would be and follow a course after the raven. The Vikings also used other birds like falcons and hawks that were kept by some for hunting purposes. However, falconry was a prestigious activity and was practiced by wealthy landowners and nobility. Owning and training birds of prey showcased skill and status. Thor, the god of thunder, had a chariot drawn by two goats,
Tanngrissnir,
and
Tanngnjóst,
highlighting his strength and connection to agricultural fertility. It was these goats that dragged Thor's sledge over the sky, creating thunder, while Thor was beating his hammer angrily, creating lightning. Horses were essential to Viking society, not only as working animals for agriculture and transportation, but also as companions and symbols of wealth and social status, symbolized by Odin, who rode the eight-legged horse.
Sleipnir.
Loki, the trickster god who were seen by the Vikings as half good and half bad, had the ability to transform into various animals, including a salmon, a fly, and a horse. And it was while shape-shifting into a horse that Loki became pregnant and gave birth to Odin's horse Sleipnir. Loki's shape-shifting abilities were instrumental in many Norse myths and often led to mischief and trouble, cementing his reputation as the most unpredictable god. Horses were expensive and were not something everyone could afford. Consequently, wealthy Vikings often owned fine horses bred for speed and strength to show off their status and wealth. Beyond dogs, cats, and horses, Vikings also kept other domesticated animals such as goats, pigs, sheep, and chickens. These animals provided food, milk, wool for clothing, and other resources essential for daily life. And the famous, or infamous, depending on who you ask, Norwegian brown goat cheese is believed to come from the Viking era. Another animal associated with the berserkers was the wolf.
Fenrir.
Is a monstrous wolf in Norse mythology. In Old Norse texts, Fenrir plays a key role during the events of Ragnarok, where he is foretold to assist in setting the world aflame, resulting in the collapse of humanity and society, and kill the god Odin. Fenrir, along with
Her.
and the world serpent, is a child of Loki and female.
Angerbola.
The story of Fenrir represents chaos and the uncontrollable forces of nature, but also death and destruction. Freyr is often depicted with a boar named
Gullinbursti.
meaning golden bristles. Gullinbursti was a magical boar, crafted by dwarves, and it served as Freyr's companion and symbol of abundance and fertility. Boars was also one of the animals the Viking berserkers turned into when going berserk, believed to be fierce, wild, and deadly. But the most important boar was the mythical
Sæhrimnir.
which is associated with the concept of the feast in Valhalla. Valhalla is the grand hall in Asgard, where the god Odin welcomes fallen warriors, known as
Einherjar.
who died bravely in battle. Sæhrimnir is an exceptionally large and magical boar. Every day in Valhalla, the god Odin and the slain warriors feast on the meat of Sæhrimnir. What makes Sæhrimnir unique is that even though the warriors feast on its flesh every day, the boar magically resurrects itself each night to be eaten again the next day. This eternal cycle of slaughter and resurrection ensures an endless supply of food and sustenance for the feasts in Valhalla.
Lovely day in paradise, isn't it?
Yeah, just like yesterday.
Today I'm featuring mouth-watering pork ribs. Tuck in then.
In Norse mythology, warriors who died honorably in battle were rewarded with a place in Valhalla, where they would prepare for the end of the world and fight alongside the gods in the final battle. Almost all religions has a story about the world ending, the gods' punishment of people's wicked behavior, and they may all be based on a real event 11,600 years ago, when several asteroids hit Earth and the world was cast into darkness for 1,200 years. Check out my video for more on that. While Sæhrimnir is a mythical creature and part of Norse mythology rather than a literal animal that Vikings ate, its story provides insight into the symbolic and mythical aspects of Viking beliefs surrounding the afterlife and the heroic ideals of Norse warriors. Animals played significant roles in Norse culture, representing various aspects of nature, power, and cosmic forces. The relationship between gods and animals also underscores the interconnectedness of all living beings within the Norse worldview. Remember to smash that like and subscribe buttons, and please check out my other videos to see if there are more you find interesting. And I hope to see you in the next one.